Hey everybody, Ranjin here, bringing you all another strike of commentary. Prepare for insanity as I bring you the third set of Flash versus Fantasy for the first time ever, I believe, in a long time. Actually started the intro before the countdown comes in. My god, is that insane or what? But here we go into the countdown for Sinkage. 4, 3, 2, 1, go. I remember when I used to do this like ages ago before the countdown, but it just kind of got comfortable just starting the whole thing with the countdown. I don't know, what the hell. But that's what happened, and that's how it is, and we're on Fighting Spirit, and at the upper right-hand corner, in brown, of course playing Terran, is going to be the ultimate weapon, the little monster, the crazy man, Flash. The defending champion, in fact. At the bottom right-hand corner, playing in whatever color it is that he is playing, the everyman of T1, the lovely guy in yellow, Fantasy. Yes. I don't know why I'm talking like this. I'm kind of high, I think. I'm high on tiredness, and I'm trying to drink some tea to kind of pep myself up. But Flash is 2-0 ahead, so Fantasy's definitely going to be feeling the pressure here. Try to get back into this, and now we're going to be on Fighting Spirits. I'm not expecting Flash really to go for any crazy cheese or anything like that to try to finish this off. Just going to play a standard game of TVT, and just going to try to finish Fantasy off that way. And, of course, this is Fighting Spirit, which means we could have a very big, very nice, very, very long macro fest TVT game for you guys. So, if I get a little bit loopy throughout this matchup, I do apologize if I start talking any strange accents, but that's sometimes what happens when I take part in TVTs. This is not going to be a full-on casual thing, because, you know, I don't have a big pizza next to me, but I'm still going to be, you know, going a little bit insane. I'm going to let my thoughts roam freely. If I see these guys, you know, making a penis pattern on the minimap, I will mention the penis pattern on the minimap and talk about the artistic capacity of a penis pattern overall in artistic movements throughout the world and times. But now we do see Fantasy putting up a barracks at the front. Should be seeing a barracks there from Flash as well. They are not spawning cross position, so there should, depending on how they scout, we're going to see how they spot each other. If we're going to see what the Fantasy actually decides to scout counterclockwise, yeah, and therefore spotting Flash right away. And I'm making my stops at very interesting times. It's not like full sentence, stop, thought, comma, full sentence, stop. It's more like la sentence half done, stop. I don't know why I'm like that, but that's the way it is right now. Flash going to plant down his command center to Flood. Also, he's yet again, he really likes this strategy of going for one Rex in an Expo in a TVT. On the opposite side, we do see that Fantasy has refinery mining, has his factory on the way, so he's going to go for one fac. Probably going to expand off of that when the opportunity presents itself. Not prevents itself. And if the opportunity prevents itself, he can't expand. So it's kind of all goes haywire. Has only one CV on gas at the moment, so he's going to be expanding very soon. We're going to see whether he actually builds the command center to wall, or whether he will just float it off like Flash plans to, who is, meanwhile, putting a bunker at the front of his natural expo. So he's just going to have one Marine at the moment to defend that at the front. Might get one more just in case he's going to be facing any early pressure, which I don't really think he's going to be, though. Fantasy meanwhile has sent out his barracks to scout and unfortunately sent his SCV in the wrong direction, so it's going to take him a long while to get in there and scout Flash. Flash meanwhile going to get his factory going, while Fantasy puts down his own command center inside of his own natural expansion, not floating it off. So the timings on the command center won't actually be too far off. This floating action means that Flash's command center gets delayed just a tiny little bit more, but hey, it makes him safe. Has a Marine and a CV on his ramp, actually, while he actually floats his barracks off just to try to block it against that initial vulture, which really shouldn't be able to manage to do too much at all. Probably going to see Flash even plant down a supply depot next to that barracks to kind of wall himself off fairly well, and that vulture won't really be able to go out there and do any damage other than getting a scout, spotting the bunker at the front, and deciding that it values its own life more than anything else. Oh man, the tea's hot, burns the throat, ow, but very good. Chamomile, honey vanilla chamomile, very nice. Starport coming in here now for Flash, while Fantasy actually goes for an armory and second factory. double starport out there for Flash. He's doing kind of something kind of like what he went for on the first set in this thing, Polaris Rhapsody, where we do see an Academy and an Army being put down. So might actually see Fantasy react to this by going for some Goliath action. He might actually be able to counteract this with some Goliaths, so he might not be in too bad position. Jessica has to get a scout on that. Is going to be able to, meanwhile, float off this barracks. And with only one Marine, I really don't think that Marine's going to be able to prevent that barracks from floating in there and getting the scout. I'm probably going to be seeing a control tower being added by Flash, just so we can get some cloaking going on those wraiths that is going to want to get out there. Barracks is floating up. The Marine coming out, is giving him a clue that Flash wants to prevent some scouting, and I think the barracks scouted that out now. So he's going to go all the way back, and the Bismarck control tower will be built at the upper right-hand base. Let's see, Armory not quite working on upgrades yet, it seems, but that Academy's coming up on the opposite side. Also see an Academy coming up there for Flash. Should start producing Marines. The second he spots Wraiths, I'm sorry, should start producing. Oh, my thoughts, brain went kablam. But for a second there, but yeah, should start producing Wraiths. Should start to be producing Wraiths very soon now. On the opposite side, we do see some Goliaths out there for Fantasy. Has the Commander going. Comp should have a second one in there as well, but cloaking won't come into play quite yet. There is meanwhile just a Wraith. Flash is revealing that, but not really a reveal since his Fantasy already had a scout on it. So Goliath's just coming across. If you're going to go in there, try to save this barracks and get a few shots off. Doesn't have Charon boosters yet, or else that Wraith actually might have gotten itself killed. At the very least, Flash going to go and utilize it for a scout. Then he won't really have to waste. Going to try to harass a little bit the SCVs. Might actually want to be using the scout just so he doesn't have to waste a comp station. Would actually be good. Might gonna get at least one SCV in there. Goliath's not really shooting at that Wraith, not focusing down on it for some reason. Second Wraith going to come in here, going to take a couple of shots. So Flash has one significantly damaged Wraith and one with has only taken one shot on it. So overall, not too bad. Additional factories being put down for Fantasy now, so he's going to focus more on the ground army. On the opposite side, we just see the second factory come up for Flash. So ground army wise, he's not really going to have too much. We have those Wraiths. The problem is that he has to really utilize them, has to get cloaking on them, has to go and do some economic damage because they don't really come into play other than that later in the game as a spotter for the tanks. But for now, we're just going to see Fantasy add machine shops and just kind of utilize those factories to take a numerical advantage on the ground. Probably going to be see Fantasy wanting to expand faster. Gonna go in there and pick off that barracks. So was smart there from Fantasy adding in those additional factories at that time. Just going to continue producing his drone ships. Is going to be expanding its physical position, seeing as how he went for his next expansion a little bit later. You generally do see players that go for their expansions later than an opponent wanting to get to that third base before they do. And Flash really actually wants to get some more factories out there before he expands. Wants to get some more ground troops up there. As soon as he has the factory count he needs, 3 or 4, he should be able to go out there and expand himself as well. And I feel like I'm talking like a strange football commentator, or maybe even a baseball commentator. I'm not quite sure. Hey, the only name I know in all that thing is Joe Madden, and I know I don't talk like him. Joe Madden is another guy, as the manager of the Tampa Bay Rays in baseball. But Fantasy also going to expand the left-hand position, actually, going to double expand, and this is a little risky with those wraiths. I almost said it like a Korean did. But with those wraiths flying around, it's actually a little bit risky. Flash actually now just going to move out across his bridge. Fantasy going to get a scout, and then just as that happens, not going to be threatened because Flash has been building almost nothing but exclusively by tanks for ground units so far. Well, Fantasy has been forced to invest quite a bit in some of the Goliath numbers, but at the very least he's going to be able to hold those wraiths in check and should be able to get his own tank number up significantly enough so he can go and hold over this base. Has a Goliath at each base just to prevent those wraiths from managing to come in and fly around too freely. While Flash is keeping up some Wraith production. Can't see what the second one is. Yes, it is. Is it indeed blinking? I actually moved the little thing off the way. Fantasy doing a great job of scanning and just kind of having the timings and exactly where Flash is. Flash gets another counter scan off. And I still don't think that Flash knows about the low left-hand position. He can pretty much assume the 6 o'clock, but the low left-hand position is actually a big risk from Fantasy. He kind of did something like this on Polaris Rhapsody. Try to be 2 bases over Flash. It didn't come out too well ahead, but I still don't know how exactly he lost that thing with all the crazy harassment that it did. But it doesn't seem like he's going to go heavy vulture this time around. Just going to put up turrets at his new bases. Going to try to keep economically strong, get some saturation going. Playing very smart, actually. has a Vulture at the 12. There was an SCV actually running towards that position, I believe, to expand for Flash, but Wraith kind of going in, denying that. There's also, I think, a base Flash thinking of putting in at that 3 o'clock position. Meanwhile, Wraith's going to go inside Fantasy's natural expansion. There was a turret in there, didn't quite manage to be put up. No Goliaths in play, a lot of SCVs being killed. Finally, some Goliaths. One turret is there. Some Goliaths going to come into play. Going to be forced to get another scan off. There is a turret here at the Natural Expo, so these Wraiths actually going to be forced back. Wraiths are not actually strong enough. They're not really like Mutalisks. You don't really want to be in there and try to be taking down turrets like you do with Mutalisks. You don't really want to be doing things like that. You just want to find an opening beyond the turrets and just going to move in with that. Still managing to pick off some SCVs beyond those turrets. A nice play here from Flash, getting a lot of damage out. Still don't know if he knows about the old left-hand position. Goliath has been damaged a little bit as well, so Fantasy kind of really can't fight back too well. He needs some more positioning, some more turrets in the right place. I think 2 turrets at every one of his new bases would be a big help. Ray's going to get caught a little bit in the open there. I think one of them went down, but overall not too bad damage. Flash is going to pick up a base at the 3 o'clock position while the Ray's going to fly around inside of Fantasy's main, trying to find opening for themselves. Going to get shot at a little bit by a few turrets. More scans come off. And Fantasy is desperately trying to get a few volleys off on those Wraiths, not too successfully, but meanwhile has gotten himself a decent number of troops, some Goliaths on the ground, quite a few tanks as well, maybe not quite enough to try to push into Flash, but at least still enough to be irritating and not allow Flash easy access, easy movement across the ground. Flash, I think, is also considering the 12 o'clock position for himself, has a few tanks there that were threatening a Vulture, and actually might have killed the Vulture there. But Fantasy, despite some damage, I think he lost almost double-digit SCVs, if not, I think he definitely did lose double-digit SCVs. Not too much damage taken. Those SCVs would have been a bigger loss if he didn't have that extra base at the low left-hand position. I feel Flash, meanwhile, is going to pick up the 12 o'clock for himself, so he is going to be catching up economy-wise. He's kept up a nice number of tanks, and because he has that nice